Greetings, and welcome back to the MCOC Encyclopedia. Today, we'll be covering Karl Crusher Creel, the Absorbing Man, the incinerating, regenerating, and burst damage dealing Mystic Titan. We will be breaking down all his abilities and the best ways to defeat him. Absorbing Man starts off with an additional 20% base crit resistance, as well as immunity to armor break and armor shattered debuffs. He also reduces the duration of his opponent's indestructible, immortality, unstoppable, and unblockable buffs by 90%. Note that this is buffs only, so passives are safe. Absorbing Man has two forms that he can transform into, and he can only have one active at a time. These are his Uru form that he gains from his special 1, and his Magma form that he gains from his special 2. The Uru form grants him immunity to all bleed and shock effects, as well as plus 9,000 physical resistance. This is a massive amount and will reduce physical damage from non-critical hits by around 75%. The Magma form grants him immunity to Incinerate, Cold Snap, and Frostbite effects, as well as plus 9,000 energy resistance. This again is a massive amount and reduces energy damage from non-critical sources by around 75%. It also causes all of Absorbing Man's attacks to deal energy damage rather than physical. Both forms cause Absorbing Man to deal small bursts of energy or physical damage, depending on the form, on all attacks. Whenever a buff ends on his opponent, or Absorbing Man is immune to a debuff, Absorbing Man will pause his form for 3 seconds. Absorbing Man is immune to some passives, but these will not pause his form, it has to be debuffs. If Absorbing Man manages to land a light intercept on you, that will also pause his form but for 6 seconds, and inflict you with a relatively small vulnerability passive for 15 seconds. Max stacks of 5. If Absorbing Man would enter the form that he's already in, i.e. throwing the special 1 when already in Uru form, he instead enters the refined version of that form instead, granting additional effects. When refined, all of Absorbing Man's special attacks become unblockable, and the bursts of damage the forms provide benefit from 300% of Absorbing Man's critical damage multiplier when he lands a crit. When Absorbing Man is in his refined Uru form, he can now crit and therefore deal his burst damage through block. Blocking hits can really hurt. When Absorbing Man is in his refined Magma form, any contact with him will place a short but potent Incinerate passive on you. There's also this odd thing he has with him reducing power gain when blocking, but it doesn't come up very often and is a bit glitchy. When in a refined form, he's meant to reduce power gain from effects by 72% and steal the power denied whilst blocking, but it isn't reliable and is rarely an issue. On top of all of this, Absorbing Man has his Morph charges. These cap out at 600. He gains these whenever he refreshes or changes his form, and he gains 1 for each percentage left on the timer. When immune to an armor break or armor shattered debuff, he will gain 90 charges. If he performs a medium-light-medium combo with at least 150 charges, or throws a special attack when at max charges, he will consume all charges to refine his form and inflict a massive vulnerability passive for each 150 charges consumed. Finally, if Absorbing Man lands a heavy attack when the opponent is stunned, he gains a decent crit increase. If the opponent is not stunned and Absorbing Man lands a heavy attack, he gains a ridiculously massive crit increase instead. If he activates a special attack, after the first hit of his heavy lands, the whole special attack will gain this crit bonus, and Absorbing Man will gain 30 additional morph charges. We have mostly covered Absorbing Man's Special 1 and Special 2 already, but as a reminder, the Special 1 activates the Uru form, and the Special 2 will activate the Magma form. They have no extra effects. And if this video is helping you at all, please absorb that like button. The Special 3 will grant Absorbing Man an indefinite cruelty passive, and if he is in a refined form, he will gain a second one. It will also refine Absorbing Man's most recent form, if it isn't already, and pause it for 15 seconds. Whilst pause, Absorbing Man will gain a massive crit increase, giving him a roughly 80 to 85% crit chance. But as always, special 3s are best avoided. Absorbing Man's signature ability can make him even more annoying on defense. Firstly, his forms last up to 40% longer, a minor point, but that does mean he'll be gaining morph charges faster. More importantly though, when consuming morph charges, Absorbing Man will heal up to 30% of his missing health over 12 seconds. However, this also happens on defense whenever Absorbing Man enters or refreshes his form. This means on every special attack, Absorbing Man will be healing like crazy. The more damage he takes, the more he will heal. This doesn't stack, though it is paused if Absorbing Man is struck with true damage, so we can't use that to bypass his resistance. Absorbing Man does have a pre-fight that lets him choose which form to start in, but given he is on defense, he cannot trigger this, and will always start in Uru form. So, we need some way to deal with the different forms, as well as the regeneration if Absorbing Man is awakened. Luckily for us, if we punish Absorbing Man's special attacks with a heavy attack, his current form is deactivated and any regeneration effects are removed. But this can only be done every 20 seconds. My preferred rotation is to deactivate only the refined forms, as they are significantly more dangerous. If you try and deactivate his form after every single one of his special attacks, the 20 seconds won't be up, and you may not be able to deactivate his form when you need to the most. That just leaves the regeneration the rest of the time. Here though, we can use any standard regeneration counters, and they fall into two main groups. The first group is champions that have it in their base kits, and we are looking for Spectre or Petrify debuffs. Top options here are Mr. Fantastic, Void, Guillotine, Sandman, Awaken Silk, or, at a push, Yellow Jacket. Our second set of options are champions with large numbers of debuffs and utilising the Despair Mastery. This will allow us to negate, but not reverse, his regeneration. Great options here are Overseer, Quicksilver, Spider-Man 2099, Cassie Lang, Scorpion, and so on. If you run 3 out of 3 in Despair, then you will need only 7 debuffs to completely block out his regeneration, and at 1 out of 3, it's 20. Look through your roster for debuff-heavy champions that don't rely on Armor Break, Bleeds, Shocks, Incinerates, Cold Snaps, or Frostbite debuffs. So, Absorbing Man has 2 forms that he changes into on his special attacks. Attempting to change into an already active form will instead refine that form and grant additional effects. When in a non-refined form, all attacks will deal a burst of damage, and when in a refined form, when Absorbing Man crits, these bursts have their damage increased by 300% of his critical damage multiplier. We'll gain morph charges when changing or refining a form, depending on how long the previous form had left. When awakened, Absorbing Man will heal a large amount every time he throws a special. We can deactivate Absorbing Man's form by heavy countering his specials, but only once every 20 seconds. We can deal with the regeneration by standard means, either by using regeneration reversal or by using lots of debuffs and the Despair Mastery. I hope this helps you against your future Absorbing Mans, and do let me know how your fights are going now. I will put up a poll so we can vote on our next champion, and I will be continuing the Act 6 run through with 6.1.5, so look out for those. I have a Discord server now, so feel free to join that for help on this, or anything else. Thank you, and I will see you next time.